Hello everyone and welcome to Jen's World About Art. So today is my first Smart Art box for the year and I'm very excited to be using the Smart Art products. I actually filmed the opening of the box and for some reason it didn't save. So I'm sort of doing this again. So I apologise for them being not in the box, but I'm very excited about these products that I've received today. So we have got these wonderful dual tip Art Alternatives pens in a range of colours which are incredibly useful. I'm really impressed with these. I have a range of calligraphy brushes, a set of 3 in 3 sizes, which I absolutely adore. And I got this plastic tray. As you can see, I've already done the painting. So I've already used the tray and put the colours and mixed them beautifully. And the colours that I've used are these Ecoline liquid watercolours and they are gorgeous. So I used them, I mixed them, they mixed beautifully, they made the colours that I wanted. I was very impressed. And today's task for Smart Art is the calligraphy brushes, and the project is to draw, what was it? Where are we? A crane, swim, panda and jump, or either one of those or all of them. So I chose to do a drawing and a painting of a crane and I'll use all of these products. So I'm going to get into it. I hope you enjoy it and I'll get into it. Oakley doke. So we are now ready for today's task. So I am going, they didn't send the glass tip pen because they've had trouble with deliveries with the way mail and everything's been at the last couple of years, so that's fine. I actually have my own dip pen that I can use to help me. So we are actually going to do a drawing of a crane, and I'm going to start, a crested crane actually. So I'm going to start with my Art Alternatives dual tip pen, and I'm going to go with the pen nib first, and I'm going to just go in freehand and just do the outline of this bird. So I'll go his beak. So I'll start with my dual tip pens that came in the box. So I'm very excited to try these and they are beautiful. So this is the crowned crane and he's absolutely magnificent. I have painted these a few times and anyone who follows my channel knows I love wildlife art. So any excuse to draw anything from the wildlife world makes me very happy. I'm going to pop his eye in there. And his iris. I got my reference picture off Pixabay, which is a royalty-free reference site. Now these birds have got a big crest on the front of their head. It comes back to about there. He's got a mark that comes around the back of his eye and he's got a cheek display. Like that. And he's got crest of feathers on his head, but I'll draw them in a second. He's got a display thing on his neck, and he's got a beautiful long neck that I will draw coming down. He's got loose feathers there and coming up onto his back, and the feathers I'm going to use the brushes and the paint, what are they called, the Ecoline watercolours for that. I'm actually going to draw the tops of his crest are quite dark tipped, so I'm going to go straight in and just draw the tips on, just like that. And then I'm going to get my yellow one. Where did I put the yellow one? I had the yellow one in my hand a second ago. What did I do with it? Uh-oh, I put it. Where did I put it? That's okay. I'll use the brush. I'll grab the smallest of the 3 brushes that I've got. Oh, there it is. It's all right. The pen's rolled under the table, so I'll grab that under the desk. So I'm just going to mark that in, following down, oops, like that. And I did it again. I put his cresty things, they're coming from the back, so I'll just disappear those two. And I could pop a few more in, thicken that up like that. Obviously I made a little mistake there, but I covered that up. And again, go back in, pop, we'll go back to the pen nib, I prefer a pen nib. And then pop those on there. Rightio. And now I'm going to start, I'll just mark in his eye, I'll leave a little bit of white for the reflective part. I will do a darker edge around his iris, anywhere that's the darkest. Right, and now I'm going to grab my little little brush that I got, the littlest one of the Chinese calligraphy brushes, and I'm going to dip that into my blue over here, and I'm going to pop that. I've never tried these, so this is really interesting. And I've just dropped a little bit in of the pure colour, and then I'm going to grab my wet brush and run that around like that. And I'll drop a little bit of darker and let it flow. I'm leaving little snippets of light in there. I'd be interested to see how much this dries back, what colour it dries back to. Now, his beak is grey. So what I'll do is I'll mix three colours. Three colours will make a grey. So blue, red and yellow, or yellowy green, should make a greyish tone. I'll add a bit more blue to that. That's made a green. Okay. That's right. We'll go a bit more red. There we go. That's a greeny grey. That's fine. I don't mind a greeny grey. It's still a natural sort of a grey. And I will brush that around his beak. And I'm using the smallest of the nibbed brush, or the smallest of the brush ends. Like that. Come around. And I don't mind that the watercolour's bleeding a little bit into the other colours. I'm not letting it dry. I'm keeping it soft. And I think this is my style. So I'm just going to drop colours in like that and let them flow. Let them do their thing like that. It's just gorgeous. Now for the red, I'm just going to drop that on there like that. So it's not, it's not realism as such. I'm having a bit of fun here with the colours. Now this will go purple, but I'm going to drop it into the top and let it flow, because the top of his thing on his neck is darker coloured, but I'm just going to use that. I can actually go over at the end with the actual pure black, but I'm going to use blue, because blue is a lovely colour for a base to make your own black. So I usually use, with my watercolours, I'll mix blue and brown, but I don't have a brown today. So I'm just going to do a blue base and go over it with the black in a little bit. I'm just going to stay away from the edges of the beak a little bit and the edge of the eye there, because this does flow into its other colours. Come down here onto the back of his little head. The darker colour goes all the way around the back. So I'll come down there and around there, like that. Come down to there, and I'll leave a little gap so that doesn't all bleed in together. Now that's white. That area there's white, so I'm going to leave that, the white of the paper. And now I'm going to drop a little bit of red in here. Leave a little tiny gap, like that. And as you can see, that blue has overtaken that red completely. So I'm going to get my brush, clean it, see if I can just lift a bit of that colour. I'll let it dry. Be patient. There we go. And I'll take the moisture out of the brush. So all I do is take the moisture out with a bit of cloth and then pick up that bead, and that will suck up that excess water, which is what I want. Now I can pop a bit more red back in there and let it do its thing again. Just had to strengthen that red back up, like that. Alrighto, cool, I'm happy with that. And that dark colour actually dries really dark. That's interesting. So I'm going to use that greeny grey that I made, because that does dry quite dark, so that's fun. So I'll pop that in there on top of that other blue, and I'll start to darken that up. And the water should follow, but not go further than the wettest spot. So it'll stay within the confines. See, I'd left a little gap of white, it'll stay in those confines. So now I'm going to clean my brush, take the moisture out, and pick up that excess water, excess pigment. Right, cool, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to use my pale blue, my lighter blue, and come around the back of his neck, because these guys are a blue-grey. Come around the back of his neck, and that'll actually wipe out that other pen mark as well, which doesn't matter, I'm happy with that. And I'm just going to use this, I'm going to grab a bigger brush now, grab the bigger one of these brushes, make sure it's wet so that it's a bit softened, there we go, and just do sweeping marks like that. Beautiful sweeping marks. That's what these calligraphy brushes are gorgeous for. Absolutely gorgeous for this kind of work. Like that. And I'm not going to fill it in completely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a bit of that out of the watercolour brush onto there. Like that. And I'm going to add some water. And see, there we go, look at that. So I've just put that into a palette, added water, and I've got that beautiful blue-grey. And I'm going to pop that over the top. Trying to get streaky bits at the end. Same on this. I'm just having a bit of fun with colour. Going a bit mad. The rules are there are no rules. So I'm just having fun. And I'm just going to go outside the lines because he's got streaky little feathers. Like that. And I'll just add more water to make it a bit paler. I'll be careful to not... Oh, too late. I got in the red. I'll just touch that again. Lift that up with my bit of cloth. Try and stay away from that, because it's going to want to flow in with my colour. And take that all the way around. Like that. Now, clean my brush. Take out the excess moisture. And just pick up that bead that I lost control of a second ago. There we go. All better. Okay. So I've got to be patient. I've got to let that dry a little, which I will. I'll be a good girl. I've got to darken up around here though, a little bit. Pop a little bit more blue just in there. Make it a bit more intense around that edge of his eye. Again, the water's pooled on the blue, so I'll pick that up. Like that. Now red and yellow makes orange. So I'm going to mix up, or it's a yellowy green, so I'm going to mix up an orangey green. And I'm going to strengthen up these cresty bits. Just using the very finest tip on the calligraphy pen, or the calligraphy brush rather. Very finest tip, very, very lightly, and taking that around just to strengthen the colours a little bit. Whoops. I'm going to try and keep it to the tip, because the tip's the soft bit, the sharpest edge. Gives you the finest line if you're delicate. I'm not very delicate. That's okay. There we go. Okay, I'm happy with that. He's coming along. He's coming along. So now I'm also going to mix a bit of red with a bit of blue to make a purple. I'm liking these watercolours. They're lovely. And I'm going to pop that purple in. It just made really a really dark blue, which is really nice. Dark purpley blue, and I pop that into the shadow areas like that under there. So you just build up layers, and I'm adding that in while the paper's still damp a little bit. It's all still a little bit damp, which is fine by me. And I'm going to pop that over the top of his back feathers that he's got coming down there like that, under here. And I'm also, so blue and red make purple. So I'll go into my purple, make a purple, a bit more purple. That's actually a lovely colour. And I'm going to pop this in to his crest, his crowny bit. This is it's a very tufty, feathery, soft looking display on the top of his head. So I'll just add all of that in there and try and make it look a bit softer than it is. Like that. Righto. Quite happy with that. And onto his cheek for the lighter shadow. So there's shadow on the white, but I always use blue for my shadow tones. So I just dilute it a lot, like a ton. So it's barely visible, but it's enough to dull the white of the paper. And I take that around the shadows. And then I clean my brush, take the excess moisture out of it and pick up the bead. And the bead is the puddle of water that it leaves at the bottom. And that's just enough to take the bright white off. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my pens that they've given me. And I'm going to use the brush tip and just define a few more of these feathers. Go around his nostril a little bit. Come around the tip of his beak. I'm going to go around that back edge of his eye, make that a bit darker. Like that. Come around the edge of his beak on the top of his wobbly dangly thing. Come around the back of his neck. And I'll pop a little bit. I don't want that hard line. I want to get rid of that hard line. So I'm just going to do some little brush strokes there. Like that. And I'm going to get my brush now and go over the top of those a little bit. Just a little. With a clean, wet brush. And I'm going to soften. Just drag up those edges like that, the ends of those feathers, just to soften them in so they're not so harsh looking. And any excess I've got on my brush I can do that, fill in those bits. And I reckon he is just about done. So that was a ton of fun. I will definitely be using these again. And I'm going to sign that with my brush tip. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I look forward to doing many more of these smart art boxes. That was a ton of fun, and these are products that I will love using because I adore drawing, and these pens are going to be a go-to. Love them. Love, love, love. So, awesome. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome day, and I will see you next video. Okie doke. See you then.